I have come before this board several times in the last few months regarding the decision to strike public comments from the record of board meetings. While I feel that this banishment is extremely disrespectful to the people of this city and the parents of this school district, I've nonetheless tried to be very nice about this, even genteel. However, that approach is clearly not working. I'm now going to be very direct. I apologize in advance for the change of tone, but I believe that directness is now necessary and appropriate. Because you are not allowing me to address my fellow Worthington residents directly, I will now have to speak to them through the highly inflammatory alternative media. That means controversy, conflict, clicks, and exposure. Do I need to contact muckrakers like James O'Keefe? Perhaps. We will see where things go. Thus, I will use the alternative media to address my fellow Worthington residents, but I will use this venue to address both this board and the lawyers and administrators who will also bear responsibility in future lawsuits and criminal proceedings. I will now state very bluntly that your hiding of public comments amounts to hiding of evidence. Evidence of what? Evidence of negligence, recklessness, and politicization, which threatens the students of this district. If you have been paying attention to the news and you realize that there is a problem, what might be called self-justified violence in the transgender community, this justification of violence is being fed by the media, by political activists, and by a variety of pressure groups, who in my opinion do not have the benefit of children as their first and primary concern. But I don't need to argue any of that pro-trans, anti-trans, ally, or opponent. It doesn't matter. What we have seen in the news is enough. There is a justified violence problem in the transgender community that is now obvious. It's in the news, and it's only going to get worse because the two sides are not going to give in. Unfortunately, trans school shooters and trans shooters in general are now becoming a thing. What's worse is that the mainstream media is halfway justifying them. This is only going to make more of them. If you don't believe me, check out the Trans Guns group on Reddit. Over 5,000 trans equivalents of preppers actively participating, gearing up with all kinds of assault weapons, which means 50,000 lurkers of the same mindset. Generally, there's a 10-to-1 ratio of people who are actively commenting and participating in these groups and the people who are of the exact same mindset and are just watching. 50,000. These folks make QAnon types look remarkably sane and peaceful. This is the trans version of Antifa, and many are likely members of both groups because there is quite a bit of crossover. Trans kids are pawns in this fight. Many are mentally ill, fragile, sensitive, depressed, vulnerable, and they're now human shields or spears in an ideological fight. No matter what side one is on in this fight, trans kids are being driven and encouraged in self-justified violence. And at least so I've been informed, this board has no intention of bringing back school resource officers, which I will refer to as SROs. It is irresponsible, negligent, and reckless, in my opinion, to push the trans ideology in Worthington schools while at the same time eliminating the safety net of school resource officers. And now, because you've silenced me, I have no simple, friendly way of telling my fellow Worthington residents about this risk. I'm forced to elevate it as controversy in the alternative media. So what is my best way to do this? Simple. I am recording this public comment as evidence that you have been warned of the danger of this flammable combination of trans ideology and willful neglect to properly arm school safety officers. If there is a school shooting in the school district that could have been stopped by school resource officers, and it was not, I will make absolutely certain that the friends, family, and lawyers of the victims have video copies of my comments tonight. You can strike my comments from your record, but you cannot strike them from existence. Record stands. You, the board, the lawyers and administrators, were warned. Failure to bring back school resource officers is going to lead to trouble. And in that event, I will make sure that blame lands precisely where it should.